All right, so what do these two iMacs in front of me have in common? Well, they can actually run the same operating system on both of them. And we're not talking about two different versions of Tiger, for instance. We're talking about the same version of Tiger, and it is a universal operating system. And it was the very first OS X universal operating system that supported PowerPC and Intel. It was also the last universal operating system to support G3s and Intel. And that was the second release of Tiger Server. And we are going to be installing them today and trying to network them. So let's go. Anyway, I'm Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and in today's episode, we will be talking about Tiger Server, especially the second release of it, which was the universal version, which would work on both PowerPC and Intel. And we are going to be running into a few issues. Right now, this thing's making an image of it so we can put it on this FireWire drive, because the universal version didn't come with CDs, and this optical drive is only a CD drive. Plus, it's also broken. This is actually the oldest iMac that Server Tiger can run on. It's a DV model, and it's a Blueberry. It's a 400 megahertz G3. And this is the newest iMac that Server Tiger can run on, and this is my mid-2007, which has been upgraded and all that stuff. You've seen many videos on it. Now, we do have a few issues here. First, of course, we'll be installing off a FireWire on this, so it's not a big issue. It's got a FireWire port. It's fully supported. It should just install. This, on the other hand, we've got a problem. This shipped with 4.10, and the only disk image that I know that exists for Universal Server is 4.7, which means it won't install on this. So we will have to target disk mode into this with a supported Intel Mac, install it, update it, and then it should boot. But they will both be running the same copy of Tiger, Universal, and it will work. And when I say Tiger, I mean Tiger Server. So we'll be networking these together, seeing what happens, and hoping that this thing doesn't blow up, because I don't think I've ever actually used it. And right now it's running, it's got a disk stuck in the drive, and it keeps booting off of that because the drive's been wiped and the disk is stuck in it. It's a boot nuke or something like that. So yeah, we're just going to leave that disk in there and pray it doesn't cause a problem. Anyway, guys, I hope you're ready to see today's episode, and let's get to it. So I've run into a problem. Yeah. Believe it or not, that would actually boot. It booted, but it reads the 2 terabyte drive as a 14 terabyte drive and refuses to see any partitions on it. So that will still probably have to be target disk moded. This, on the other hand, it's booting off of the drive right now. It's been booting off the drive for like 20 minutes. I don't think it's going to boot. So we're going to have to get creative. Well, let's try my extremely unreliable FireWire optical drive. So I'm leaning towards this iMac is toast, and I need to go grab another one. I don't think I have any more first generation slot loads, but I do have a second generation slot load. I think it's an Indigo. Well, I guess try that and see if it works. Say hello to my slightly sick Indigo 500, which I hope works. Every time you restart it, the screen will not turn back on until you reset the CUDA. So we're not going to shut it off and just pray it keeps running. So yeah, here goes nothing. Yep, apparently the Blueberry is very broken. Now, last time I used this system, I could have sworn it had a gig of RAM in it. I don't know what happened to it, but this does have the minimum. Your computer is not compatible with this version of 10.4. Okay, now I'm confused. Well, it's 1976, and it's got a dead RAM slot, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that RAM stick. So, yeah, that might be part of the reason why it won't boot. We may be target disk moding this too, even though it should natively install. Yeah. Well, I went under the hood multiple times. The RAM should, in theory, work, but it's not working. And it's still doing this. So, new plan. Well, I didn't want to have to do it this way. The iMac's on in the background in target disk mode, and yes, the screen, once again, didn't turn back on. I hope it turns back on. Or have to install it over a PowerBook G4, which this is allowing us to do. I hope it shows up here. Is it? I don't see the iMac. So I'm taking a wild guess that the iMac will not go into disk mode unless the screen kicks on. Now that we've pried the back open again, you hit the CUDA switch again, it's kicked on, it's showing up here. Now let's install Tiger Server. And it's going to start installing from here to here, and then through here and into there. And hopefully when this finishes, this will just boot right up. Alright, here goes nothing. Okay. Hey, it works just exactly the way I figured it would. It should have natively installed, but hey, it worked. So now I have to set up the server for this, and I already have it connected to the internet through this airport here, and we'll get it all updated and patched and start on that. Alright, we got Tiger Server Universal on the G3 fully loaded. It still has to be updated, but as you can see, it's running 10.4.7. I'll let this update and we'll start on this. And this is what I'm currently looking at. So we've got that in target disk mode. We've got this hooked up to it. Let's see what happens. See what happens. Is the mouse not working? Okay, the enter's working. My mouse isn't working. All right, let's try that again. Continue. Continue. Ha! USB's not working in this. That's not a good sign. And suddenly the keyboard stopped working. Oh, come on. Let's try this again. Please work this time. That's a good sign. There we go. Continue. All right, this will start installing. We'll let that install, and then we've got to boot it on this and make sure it's up to date before we try to boot it on that. Well, it will straight up not install on the internal drive on that. I don't know why. I was having problems formatting the drive a different way to actually get this to install because I originally set it up with, I think, Mojave, and it said it needed a newer OS. So for some reason, the partition tables just aren't compatible or something. So I've got one last idea that I didn't want to do, and we'll do it that way. So my solution is we'll install it onto an external drive, which I didn't want to have to do, but we're going to do it. And I noticed something weird in Disk Utility. It gives you the option to install Mac OS 9 disk driver, even though it's on an Intel Mac, which doesn't work on Leopard. You don't have that option. And I guess it's just a holdback from Tiger code or something. I don't know. But either way, installing that would make no difference in Intel Mac. Yeah, now I'm getting angry. So we've tried multiple things at this point. The optical drive in this is dead. That, for some reason, won't work in the boot menu. And this, I thought I could put it on FireWire and make it work, because usually you can still boot off a FireWire drive no matter what OS. This literally only works with optical drives. It won't even power the hard drive on, and I powered it on externally, and it still doesn't recognize the hard drive. It just freezes everything. It only works with an optical drive. So, yeah. My new idea is my PowerPC Tiger install that I have on this is corrupted. We're going to install it over top of that, and it should still boot off of this on that. So we're going to see what happens. So doing this made me realize I need my PowerBook G4 again, which I forgot to plug in. Oops. The PowerBook G4 enables you to install on an Apple partition map, which Intel's can boot off of, but you can't install onto. Yeah. So that's the PowerPC compatible partition map, and that's what this is formatted in. So thank goodness I've got a PowerBook G4 on hand. So far, so good. If I had a Intel on hand that didn't take me an hour to set back up, this would actually work a lot easier. Yeah, I'm really enjoying doing this, but hey, it's nice that it's a universal install, so I can actually install on a PowerPC and still boot it on Intel. I just didn't want to do it this way. All right, so here is the update that will make it compatible with this iMac. We'll install that, and then once it's installed, we'll boot it on that for the first time to see if it actually works. Right now, that's almost finished updating, so by the time this is installed, it should, in theory, be done there, and this would be fully updated, so awesome. And if you're curious, yes, it is the universal update. Okay, so this is not how I was planning on doing this, but in theory, it should work fine. Let's see. And it starts booting up. This is the initial boot after the update, so it's probably going to reboot. So we'll come back when it's finished. See, I told you it would work. First time it booted up. We'll do the finishing updates on it, and we'll be good. Well, that's cool. There's a specific update just for this particular model. That's pretty cool. All right, so we've got these two fully updated with the same exact operating system. They have every update that was available for them, and they both are fully activated with separate keys because this one threw a error when it connected to the network. So we fixed that, and we're going to do a boot test. Now, this is booting off a FireWire drive, but it's an SSD FireWire drive. It still won't be booting as fast as it would if it was the internal drive, but it will still boot pretty quick. And we're going to boot these up to the login screen and see which one wins. So let's get to it. And I just remembered I forgot to change the refresh rate. All right. 3, 2, 1. It's impressive. Wow. The G3 almost beat the Intel Mac. Almost. That's, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's, wow. Okay, let's log it in here. And enter. And I typed the password in wrong. Ooh, you. And enter. Still pretty quick. I want to redo that again. So we need to log out. All right, let's try again. And enter. That's fast. That's actually really fast. This is the minimum specs you can run on it for the most part. It says G3 300. This is a G3 500. It says 256 megs of RAM, which is what this has because one of the modules isn't working. And it's still, it's not too bad. It's pretty quick. And you're talking about ATA 100 here, I think. Pretty sure it's an ATA 100 versus, well, FireWire 400 SSD, though. You know, I mean, they're probably about the same drive speed, honestly. But SSD should be a little quicker either way. So, we got that logged in here. We're going to pull you guys forward and compare them. So let's do it. Alright guys, so we are running the same OS. And just to show you that we are, let's go over to server admin here. As we can see here, the build version is 8S2169 on both of them. As we can see, so, yes, they are running the same OS. They're running the universal version because that's how this thing's running it. Of course, the first version was PowerPC, so. But as we can see, we are running 10.411 on both of them. And they're working quite well. So we'll go to more info. And that's the specs of the G3. And that's the specs of the Intel mid-2007. And it's quite impressive what it's doing here. You know, 256 megs versus, I think it's 6 on this one. Let's see here, memory. Here, memory. Yeah, 6 on that one. I mean, still, that's really impressive. So, yes, they're both running the same OS. Something that never happened again for G3 and Intel. This was the one and only time. So, now, we should do a quick test on the network. These are both connected to the network right now. Let's see what they'll do on the network. Alright, so first thing I did is connect the server admins together. As we can see here, if I go over to Multimac here on the G3, you can see it's showing Multimac, where if we go over to G3 over here, it's showing the G3 over here. I could not get the server monitor to log on. I tried, but oh well. But otherwise, it's on the network and everything's working. So what we're going to do is now connect the Mac to both of them and see just the delay and stuff that happens with them. Alright, so we got one of my PowerBook G4s out and the classic Mac Yak wallpaper. So, yeah, this wallpaper's been on here since I think I got the thing. That really takes you back there. But anyway, we're on the network here, and as we can see right here, we can see iMac G3 and Multimac, and they're both right here. So if we go to, for instance, iMac G3 and connect, I did apparently set it up right, so we can see desktop right here. And desktop is where we're going to drop a file. I don't know what we want to drop, but we're going to drop something here. So my battery just died on this. Perfect timing. This thing's like 50%. Yeah. Well, luckily it only went into sleep mode. But it is at 1% battery, so yeah. Anyway, we're going to go to desktop, and this is on the iMac G3. We'll open that up. There we go. There's nothing on desktop right now. So we're going to put something on it. Let's put CPU monitor on it from, I think this is Jaguar. Put that on there. We can see it popping up right there. And alt recopied over. We saw the spike in the network there. It worked. And if we go over to it on here, it should just open right up. And it does. Neat. So, if we go over to Multi-Mac here, and go to desktop, and copy the same file over, you'll see it pop up there. And it's alt recopied over, and a little bit quicker. It opens right up. And that's the power of a PowerPC code there, because this is a PowerPC app. Works fine on Intel, and even reads 2 processors. That's cool. So that worked. For some reason it didn't spike the network traffic, but yeah, go figure. But yeah, it's working. It works great. I mean, it works the way it's supposed to work. And it was very efficient on a G3 apparently, because it works great on the G3. And yeah, I'm very happy with the end result. It works. Everything just works fine. And this is such a neat operating system considering. So let's wrap up the video. So yeah, Apple made a very reliable OS that was quite compatible with a lot of hardware. Any hardware that was a G3 300 with built-in FireWire or newer would have worked on this all the way up to the mid-2007 iMac. And it had a wide range of compatible hardware. The thing is, honestly, as long as your Mac had a G3, it would run this OS. And, you know, it would run it all the way up to this. And it was pretty neat. You could run this on a PowerMac 9600 with a G3 upgrade with a helper tool and all that stuff. You'd be able to run this and still run the same OS on this. It's pretty neat. And this OS, I mean, it's a server OS. It's not the world's most useful thing in today's world, but it's still very useful if you need a home server. It will still communicate with a modern day Mac like this one here and work with it fine. You can still share files and do most of the things. There's a lot of services that have been discontinued that just don't really work on the new Macs. You could still do file sharing. You could stream iTunes songs and all that stuff. It would still work fine, and it works on a G3. And it's crazy to think that this is probably the underlying code that made Leopard work on both PowerPC and Intel Macs. And it shows that you could have probably gotten Leopard to work fine on a G3. Multi-back requirement. I mean, that's the only thing that really kept the G3s from running Leopard. And, you know, you would have gotten a few more years out of your G3. And it's kind of sad, but, you know, this shows that universal OSs worked fine on it. This thing runs pretty darn quick, even at minimum specs. It runs fine, and it's a really impressive OS. Now, this didn't work. This video, of course, like usual, did not work out the way I wanted it to, but it did eventually work out. It just happened that I installed both OSs with the same PowerPC laptop, which, yeah, that should have been installed with an Intel Mac, and this should have been installed natively. No clue why it wouldn't work, but as you can see, it works fine, and it's native. These are both universal installs, and they both work fine. You know, this is running off a FireWire drive. It was installed with a PowerPC Mac, and for all it knows, it's an Intel through and through. It's awesome. And of course, this still has the Rosetta built into it. As you saw, it was running a PowerPC application, even though it's a small one, from Jaguar, worked fine. It's a very useful OS. In fact, this still allows you to manage classic environments and stuff on PowerPCs with an Intel Mac. In fact, you can still do net installs of OS 9 with Intel with the server Tiger, which was the last server OS that would allow you to do that. It's pretty neat. This OS was very useful and very Swiss Army knife-like, just like this Mac here is, which is pretty neat. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was frustrating as heck at some points to actually film, but we got it to go, and we got these things to work great, and I'm very happy it turned out the way it did. It just took a lot longer than I expected, as usual. I've been filming this for like 8 hours now, and I'm getting kind of tired. You know how it is. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget, I do have a Patreon and memberships. If you'd like to join either one of them, you know the drill by now. And don't forget to like and subscribe, etc., etc. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and this has been a Hrutkay Mods video. All right, so what do these two iMacs have in common? Well, they can actually run the exact same operating system. Nope. All right, so what do these two operating systems have in common? They're not operating systems, they're computers. Anyway, guys, I'm Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and welcome to an episode where we are going to be talking about Turger Siger. Whoa. Well, it will strain out